to the show.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. It's weird that I say off the mats because I feel like people know that's what they're listening to. So why do I have to keep telling you? So yeah, welcome back to the podcast. And I'm happy you guys joined me. And I'm happy that my guest joined me too. We're going to get a little weird. My guest this episode is longtime friend of the podcast and world traveler, grappling badass, Miss Julia Blackburn. How you doing, Julia?
I'm doing well, just floating around this summer, so here to talk about. I realized when we scheduled this that I am on the podcast about every, I think, like 20 episodes is what I've figured out. So I was on like mid-60s, 20s, almost 100, and now, so yeah. Setting up a good path, and then I look back and see like all the stuff that's happened since the last time we talked, and I'm like, wow, when can I get off this roller coaster? Like,
nobody. You signed up for it. You're here.
I didn't sign up for it though. Other people did. My parents and my sister signed me up for it. They wanted me.
Oh, that roller coaster. I thought you meant the jiu-jitsu roller coaster.
No, I mean, jiu-jitsu is brought around the life events, I suppose, but just all of them at once, you know?
Yeah. No, it is weird how that roller coaster of life happens. It's like, here you are, you're here. You don't have a choice now. You got to do things. And my whole issue is, like, why don't we, I guess so many people are born every day, though. It's like, because my feeling is like, let's revise these rules because there's some rules that are going on that I wasn't here for and nobody consulted me. And some I agree with, some I don't. But look, man, like sometimes I agree. I didn't sign up for this, but I'm the oldest too. So it's like, it's not even like I had like a sibling that was like, hey, I want a brother. Like, nope. I was just here. And then I got 4 little brothers and I didn't ask for them either. They just showed up and I was like, what the fuck is this? But now I love them. They're pretty cool now. So, my daughter keeps like, I want a sister. I was like, well, keep wanting. You got the kid across the street. That's the closest you're going to get. Go play with her. Leave me alone. So, what's been going on with you, though, Julia?
Okay. Let's just start from the beginning of the crazy stories I have to tell from my travels. I think I hadn't been to Charleston Open when we last talked.
No.
Okay. I have a story for that. Little first story time. I went to Charleston Open, and this was actually the 3rd time that I had been trying to get to Charleston Open. It's basically like been a getting there movie. Because the first time I had like hurt my knee, and so I backed out. Second time my niece was born, and this was the 3rd time. Like, finally I'm going. This is great. And I drug my friend along too, who doesn't do jiu-jitsu. I was like, we're going to have a girls' weekend in Charleston. It's going to be so much fun. We are like halfway there, and there's a bunch of traffic and construction, and we get rear-ended. We were fine. Like thankfully, my car was really safe and it's fine. But my car was totaled, and we got stuck on the road. Like this turned into like an all-day road trip because of this. I'd say this.
How far away are you from Charleston to begin with?
Oh, this should have been a 4-hour or less road trip. But we were there until, I don't think we got in until like 10 o'clock at night. It was bad. Because it was like, the accident was just a mess. But thankfully, jiu-jitsu has family with it. And the rest of the gang and family was late leaving because they're Brazilian, so they always leave late. so we get in an accident. It's horrible, scary, it's bad. Um, and I call my mom. I'm like, we're fine, we're alive. And then I call Fernanda, my coach, and I'm like, Fernanda, you're gonna hit some traffic. That's our fault. I'm laughing now because it's just this crazy, right? Because it's one highway and the accident is a 2-lane highway. The accident blocked the whole thing up, and she's like, "Oh my gosh," she's freaking out. They were about an hour and a half, 2 hours behind us, and then they finally got all the cars cleared and everything, and they put us in, my friend and I, in the officer's car to drive us up to get our statements because it wasn't my fault. Totally not my fault. I stopped. Nobody else did. But they put us in
Sounds
the
like
cop
your
car.
fault.
No, it wasn't. I stopped for the car in front of me that was stopped. And put my flashers on and everything. They weren't paying attention. But we're sitting in the back of the car because they drug my car and all the other cars off the road, right? And we could not be in the car at that time. So we're sitting on the side of the road, and I told Fernando, I'm like, hey, just meet us up at this exit. That's where we're going to go talk to everybody, get statements and everything. She doesn't do that. No, they stop on the side of the highway and come and knock on the police officer's window. And she's like, Julie, are you okay? Are you okay? Oh my God. And the officer's like, ma'am, they're fine. Please get back in your vehicle. Yeah, so there's your jiu-jitsu family. Like, if they're not going to stop on the side of the highway and make sure you're fine, I mean, I feel like that's most people, but on the side of the highway and bang on a cop car.
Jiu-jitsu family hits different.
Yes.
So
most people would assume after that I wouldn't have competed. I did.
Ooh, yeah.
I was like, I'm too stubborn and determined at this point. I've tried to get Charleston Open 3 times now. I'll be damned if I'm not competing this time. So we got in. I slept maybe 2 hours, right? Just because stress. And got to the event, and I'm always determined, obviously, when I go to a competition, like, I'm going to go, I'm going to fight. But obviously, this was a different case. So I gave myself until I had to walk onto that mat to back out and say no of the match. I only had one match. There was only a 2-person division. But I went out and I got to the side of the mat, and I was like, danced around a little bit, moved around. And I was like, well, what's the worst that could happen? So I went out there and I won. And then I was like, you know what? I'm done. I normally stick around and do no gi and both open classes. And I was like, no, that's all. I'm going to push it. And then we went and we had a beautiful weekend. But that was story time number 1 of getting there. And also, I'm never doing Charleston Open again. Am I superstitious? A tiny bit. I'll go to Charleston. I've been to Charleston a bunch. No problems with Charleston. Something is wrong with Charleston Open.
Fair enough. So
yes.
Charleston off the list.
Mm-hmm.
Never again. Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Now, after that, because last time I talked to you was after Rome, I believe.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Because we talked before, because you told me your grand plan.
Mm-hmm.
And then you executed it. You went through with it.
Almost. My grand plan was
Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rome.
Oh, yes. That grand plan.
Yep. So you went through with that. And then after that, we talked. And then I haven't spoken to you since. I believe, did you go to Ireland?
Right. So when we last talked, my plan was to come back and do Pans and Worlds. So I altered that plan and I did Pans. I lost to Pans. That's fine. And then I did Ireland. I did Dublin. And then I did American Nationals instead of Worlds.
That's the other one. I was just talking to someone and I was going down the list, like just trying to go off memory, and I
Hmm.
was like, "There's another one that was here in the U.S. It was a big one, but I can't remember which one." American
Hmm.
Nationals. That was it.
Yes. Yeah, they all have story times. Pans isn't really that much of a story time, I would say. I just wasn't feeling top of my game that day, and I lost. I won the first match, and then I lost the second match, so I didn't make it into the finals. But that's okay. I learned, and above all, I was actually happy with my performance because my professor said like that was some of the better fighting he'd seen out of me so far in all the competitions. So I personally took it as a win, really.
No, I mean, you went out there, and if you felt good, I mean, and you did what you needed to do, you can't hang your head low on that. So go out
Exactly.
there, you did well. So
Yeah.
you get it, girl.
Yes. Dublin was fun. Also, a story time with that competition.
I'm all ears.
Uh, I usually, when I compete, um, I am very, very dedicated to the week before having my body in like peak condition. And for me, that means eating really healthy and not drinking. Not really to cut weight. I don't cut weight. I just go to whatever division I'm at. But mostly just because that's how I feel best when I'm rolling. That went out the window because it's Dublin. Like they have meat and potatoes and beer. I don't really drink beer, but I did in Dublin.
Well, you have to.
I drank so much beer that I was out at Temple Bar until 2 a.m. the day before my competition. Actually, into the day of the competition.
All right. How'd that work
So
out for you?
it worked out, kind of. It was not peak performance. I could have done a lot better, I will be honest. But I got there. I got to the competition. That was the biggest hurdle. And I went out and I did my first ski match. And I was like, mind you, the entire time I'm there, I'm over in the bleachers, literally like feel like I'm dying because I'm viciously hungover. Um, and we had picked up along the way. I'm convinced that like my professor has a network of friends and Brazilian jiu-jitsu trainers all over the world because he picked up these people that were like I knew one, and then there was other ones. Anyway, one of them was like, I'm gonna be there for you tomorrow and coach you. I was like, okay, great, thank you, appreciate that. And all I really remember from that first match was him yelling at me because I had her in close guard, and I was like in a position to take her back. And I just remember him saying, Julia, pull her on, take the back, you've got this. And I look up at him, I'm like, I don't have that. I cannot physically move that much to do that. And also, I feel like I would throw up if I had somebody by the back right now because they'd be on my stomach.
Oh, yeah.
It was that bad.
Wow.
But I won the match. I think I got like 2 points because I stood up at some point. Um, so did I win? Yeah, I think I won my division, and I got like second or third along the way in the open, and I might have won a nogi as well. Yeah, I got like third in nogi. But I couldn't stay for all of the matches. I was like, we're done. I need to leave here. So I learned that lesson. There's a reason why I should stick to not drinking before competitions.
Well, some people got to learn from experience. That's
Yeah,
all.
well, my professor has done it before. He doesn't do it now, but if he's fighting in a made heavier weight class, he'll have drinks before. But he's also a tank. Like this man can drink a full bottle of bourbon and he's still walking and alive. I would be in the emergency room. So
Just the thought of it is devastating to me. Sheesh.
yeah, so that was fun. But Ireland was really fun. I enjoyed it. It was very different from Rome, but it was still really cool and lots of history. Yeah. I couldn't understand the people there. Like I understood them better in Rome. But they also won't let you drink alone. I found that out. I thought that was very
Of course.
interesting. Well, because like in Rome, I would go and I'd sit down and I'd have my glass of wine and enjoy the scenery. And nobody came up to me. Nobody bothered me. Not that it's a bother, but in Dublin, like I went to this one bar, just kind of hole in the wall place, and I just wanted to sit and listen to their folk music. And I was there for maybe 5 minutes before this 80-year-old man who I could not understand anything this man was saying said, "Hey there, Lawson, you're drinking? You're drinking alone?" I was like, "Yes, I'm alone. It's okay. I like it. I'm a tourist. I'm enjoying. I'm learning." He's like, "We don't let you drink alone here." I was like, "Okay." He's like, "I'm going to sit with you." I was like, "Okay." And I think he was just telling me like his life story and all his grandkids, and he showed me pictures of his grandkids on a flip phone. Yeah, that's how old he was. It was adorable, and I did enjoy the company. So it is
Okay.
good to branch out of your introversion at times because you get fun stories, and it was quite lovely sitting and
Well, good.
listening and trying to decode what he was saying.
They drink based off the buddy system, so I
Mm-hmm.
can dig it. All right. So we got Charleston story time, Dublin story time.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Then American Nationals.
I did Atlanta Open before that. I'm
You did
realizing
Atlanta
now I'm
Open.
looking. I do too many
Was it?
competitions.
I don't know if there's any such thing as too many, but you
I
did do a
did.
lot.
Yeah, I did Atlanta Open, and that's why I didn't
Just
do
1
Worlds.
second. Um, so you did Atlanta then.
Yes, and I realize now I did DC too. Um,
So
and I am
I
not
knew
gonna
you did
hold.
DC. And I was
Yeah,
gonna bring that up because I wanted to be there.
yeah. We'll get to DC story time after Atlanta story.
Fair enough.
I think that is DC story time is like one of the better ones as
All
far
right.
as
Well,
craziness. So
hey, look, I live vicariously through your Instagram stories. So
it was so crazy. It wasn't on the stories really.
no, but I saw so well, I knew you were in DC, and then I remember you said you were gonna be at the DC Open. And I was like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
cool. And then I was like, okay, there's a lot going on down in
Mm-hmm.
DC, protests and stuff. So I was like, all right, I see you, Julia. All right. And
Yeah.
then I kind of left it there. I was like, I'll I'll get to Julia on the podcast.
Yes. Yes.
All right. So
Um,
give me Atlanta.
Atlanta, I love Atlanta Open. You know, it's my hometown open, always good competition. It was a good competition. It was kind of weird, the results for me. So I got gold in my gi division, bronze in my open gi, bronze in my no gi division, and gold in my no gi open division. I know, very strange. But I was really happy with that. The gold in Nogi Open cost me my knee.
Hmm.
I was really stubborn. I was up by like 10 points. I had like 30 seconds left in the match. I had a body triangle, and she hopped up with her legs and got my like ankle to a point where it pried on my knee that was already had been previously injured before. Um, so I didn't go like get an MRI or anything. I just went to my physical therapist who also does jujitsu. So he understands when I explain to him, no, I'm not going to stop training, just fix it. He understands. He was able to fix it. So that was really good. But Atlanta Open was good. We had a lot of people from my team compete. Went both days. I worked some and then cheered on the team. And I really liked doing that. At one point, we had like 3 people on the mats, and I was like running up and down, screaming for everybody. So it's always, I love the energy of it, you know.
Good.
And I didn't even really care about my knee. So, but it
Well,
did put me out. I didn't feel well enough with it to go to uh, Worlds on it, and I also just didn't feel ready for it. Everybody was like, "Oh, you're so ready. You could go. You can do it. You'll win. You'll at least get third place or something." I was like, "No, I'm gonna go to Worlds. for the first time, and I'm gonna go when I'm ready and feel really good about it, and then I won't have any regrets, you know?
Good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's important though too. Is when you're ready, because this is your journey. This isn't
Hmm.
anyone else's. So when you're ready, you'll get out there. You'll do what you need to do. You'll come back with all types of hardware, and we're cheering you on.
Yeah. Plus, I just like, I don't feel like a trip to California right now. I don't know. I've been to California before a few times. Nothing against California, but I was looking at California, I was looking at Vegas, I was like, Vegas sounds like a lot more fun than California. And it was. So I think I made the right decision on that one.
Oh, good, good.
Feels
Well,
good.
and that's the thing too is when you look back, as long as you feel like you made the right decision, when you look
Yeah.
back on it, that's the key point.
And I was so stressed about that decision too. I don't know why. Like I was just really going back and forth about it. It was also like it was going to be at the busiest time of my work year, so it was that stress as well. And I just kept going back and forth. I think I really put the pressure on myself because I had like told people I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to Worlds this year. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna do it. And I think just that and like kind of making the promise to myself and then telling myself no, it was a bit of a, hard pill to swallow. But yeah, now hindsight is 2020. So I think it was a better option not to go. And who knows what would have happened? I could have won. Oh well. I had fun with the path I took. So
So after Atlanta,
mhm.
and then you sat out Worlds because of the injury. How long in between, you know, or for the recovery for the injury from the injury?
Let's see. So Atlanta Open was beginning of May, and then July 2nd, I went to DC Open. So a
Okay.
couple months. Yeah. I didn't stop training. I just trained less. I went, I taped the leg up. I went to PT. I wore the big brace with the hardware in it, and I just kind of pared down. I didn't do any triangles. I didn't do any De La Rivas. It was a very painful ego check experience because half of my game is De La Riva and triangles, and I had to get good at other things. So,
It's a necessary evil.
yeah. But yeah, I'm really happy that I don't know if it's 100%, but it's definitely good now. So I felt no stress on it when I was competing, so that was good. Yeah.
Good. Good.
So
Glad to hear that.
yeah, DC story time,
All
the
right, let's
wildest
go.
of them all. You would think that Vegas would have like the wildest story, but we went to Vegas to eat food and compete. I didn't go to Vegas to party and have a hangover movie experience, right? So Vegas was just chill and fun. But DC was an experience for several reasons. First off, I know you're in Maryland,
Hmm.
but I hate DC traffic and the
Hmm.
surrounding areas so much. And
Hmm.
I should have listened to my mother, and she's gonna be really happy I said that. But I should have listened to her because she's like, Julie, my parents live in Virginia. She's like, Julie, you don't want to go to DC. It's like, yes, I do. I'm going to come home. I'm going to see you guys, hang out at home for a little bit. And I'm going to, take a little jaunt up to DC, pop back, no problem. 2.5, 3 hour road trip. It'd be fun. No part of this trip was fun. So the beginning, the drive there actually wasn't too bad.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why. It wasn't difficult at all. I had easy pass. I just kind of zipped through. Except for the fact that on the way there, and I knew it was going to happen because I'm also a lawyer, so I am kind of obsessed with the Supreme Court. On the way there, I told my mom, I was like, you need to call me and tell me the status of the Dobbs case, which is the one that overturned Roe v. Wade. You need to tell me on the way. She called me. I was like, well, shit, this is going to be interesting. So I was also driving to DC to meet my bosses, for the first time because my company is remote, but they live in DC. So I was like, this is great. I'll go up Friday. I'll meet them. We'll have lunch, and then I'll compete on Saturday. It's going to be a great weekend. No. I get there, and I was like, well, this is kind of a crazy thing in the world. This is a historical event. So something overcame me, and I got to DC, and I went and I kind of joined the protest outside of the Supreme Court.
So I saw.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like, I've never experienced anything like that before. And then, like the professional woman I am, I left and went and acted like everything was completely fine for my meeting with my bosses and that I was a normal person and hadn't just gone to a protest and like everything was fine. And I think they think I'm a normal person still. So
well, you're really good at compartmentalizing.
I am. Also crazy, while we were having lunch, we're sitting in this really nice restaurant looking over a river. Did you hear about the guy that crawled up to the top of the bridge and threatened to jump off because of the decision?
No, did not hear about
that. This was in DC proper, one of the several bridges. This man, because of the decision, climbed up to the top of the bridge and threatened to jump. And I looked over there. I was like, hey, guys, what's going on? Why is the bridge? Why there's all this ambulance and stuff? And they're like, oh, yeah, the guy's threatening to jump off. I was like, what? Like, we were seriously just having lunch. Like, this is the most dystopian thing, right? We're having a business-like lunch, and you look over, and you can see this guy waving a green flag at the top of a bridge ready to jump off with EMS and fire blocking the whole bridge. This is life. This is...
Yeah. No, we are in crazy times, and each day that goes by, I feel like we are in some sort of a bizarre movie that it's like every day someone grabs the script and says, no, let's rewrite that. We got to change that.
I don't even feel like it's writers at this point. I feel like it's a dice set, and they're like,
yeah,
let's shake it up. It'll be fun.
It's like a choose your own adventure book, and we're not getting to choose anything. The adventures is being chosen for us, and we're like, okay, guess didn't have that one on the bingo card, but I'm gonna go with it.
So I had another bingo card experience at DC. Like it's not, that wasn't even the full crazy story, right? So I finally had my day. I left DC. Like, we're done. I'm getting out of this hellhole of a section of the country. It's not even a state. And get to Maryland. I was like, Maryland will be fine.
Oh, okay.
First complaint in Maryland, y'all don't have any liquor in your grocery stores. And nobody told me this. This was a liquor required day. I mean, I understand, like, we don't have liquor in our grocery stores in Georgia either, but we at least have wine and beer. And there was no wine or beer in this grocery store. All I needed to go to the grocery store. I needed some bananas, some Rice Krispies, and some wine. I'm a simple human. That's all I needed at that point, and some water.
It's a very unique list.
But a simple list.
Yes.
But you know what? They didn't have at the grocery store? Wine.
So I had a coworker many years ago. He and I, he lived across the street from me. So we would carpool to work. And then one day he's like, hey, I got to stop off at the supermarket real quick before I head home. Is that all right? And I was like, yeah, dude, I'm your passenger. Let's roll. So we get to the store, and, he's got his basket full. He's not saying anything, but you can see he's frantically pushing the cart around. And he's he gets to a point, this maybe 15, 20 minutes in. Mm-hmm. And finally he goes, hey, where do you guys keep the beer? Mm-hmm. And I keep forgetting I've been here long enough at this point, because everywhere else that I've ever gone, there's been at least beer in the grocery store.
Or it's like it's part of the grocery store. It's like a different, like you go out the grocery store, you go in the other building, right? Like Florida has that.
So I told him, I was like, well, and that's the thing. All of our where we lived in Colombia specifically, we have villages. So there's a
Mhm.
village center, and then the village center is always going to be a grocery store, a pizza joint, a
Mhm.
Chinese restaurant, a bank,
Mhm.
and a liquor store. Without fail, you'll always find those
Where's the
five
barber
things.
shop?
Oh yeah, in a barbershop. Yes, in a barbershop. Some form of a barbershop. And there's one other, that's it. They have a bank, barbershop. There's usually one other obscure thing that's always in there. I want to say
Nail
like
salon.
nail salon or something like that.
Mhm.
Um, but you know, for this trip, I said to some of my neighbor, I was like, well, yeah, if you look like, right out there across, the parking lot, liquor store right there. I was like, you guys don't keep the beer in the grocery store? I was like, nah, man. Like, I mean, you get some O'Doul's. Like, he's like, nah, I'm not doing that. But yeah, Maryland definitely. I lost a bet once because there's a 7-Eleven that had
Mhm.
beer, and this was like last call at the bar, and this guy's like, well, if we can just run up to the 7-Eleven and get a 30 pack. I was like, there's no fucking beer at the 7-Eleven. What are you talking about, you lunatic? I was like, yes, there is. I was like, no, there isn't. I was like, okay, well, what kind of bet do you want to put on this one? He goes, let's go $20. I was like, word. I didn't have $20. I just got done getting trash at the bar. I had no money. I was like, word, let's go. We got up there, sure enough, not just like one 30 pack, but they had a variety of 30 packs. And I was so confused. It's the only 7-Eleven in Maryland that I've ever seen that carried beer. And
Interesting.
it's I'm still confused by it because it's like, why you? And you're in the weirdest place. You're in Ellicott City, under the bridge. Like no one knows you're there. That's
Maybe
probably why.
that's why.
Yeah, they're like no one ever checks. They're just like,
Yeah.
should we do an inspection there? Nah, no one knows that place is there. All right.
Wow.
So sorry, I cut you off on your
No.
Maryland excursion.
Yeah, so that was the first excursion. And I too, so I actually called my parents in the grocery store. Well, it was kind of weird because it was a Wegmans that I went in, and we have Wegmans in Virginia. And in Virginia, the Wegmans wine section is top notch. It is
Sure.
like, it's amazing. It rivals a Total Wine. It is fantastic. So I walk in, I'm like, they forgot part of the grocery store. There's a whole part of this, there's half of this grocery store is gone. So I call my mom and dad because they used to live in Maryland too. I was like, Mom, there's no liquor in here. She's like, what do you mean? It's like, you guys used to live here. Do you remember like any wine or beer? She's like, I don't know. Hold on, let me ask your dad. He's like, no, of course not, darling. It's Maryland. I'm like, it's Maryland. So bless their hearts, they were like, okay, she's had a long day. So my mom was like, okay, don't worry, I googled it, and there's a liquor store 0.2 miles away. It's got to be in the same shopping center. I was like, you're right, there is. So I got my wine, so that was okay. Went back to my hotel room, had my wine, my dinner, rested for the evening, and went out and competed. And it was a tough day, just because I didn't feel like mentally ready for it. It was a very draining day prior. I lost all my matches except for Nogi Open. And the only reason I got to the Open division is because there was like nobody there competing. I only had like one girl in my weight class. Yeah, she was very good too. But it was enjoyable to meet people from New York and like all the northern states because they all came because they hadn't been down to other competitions, you know? So it was
Yeah.
nice to meet them. So it was good camaraderie in that sense. But I was there all day. Really, really long event, very tiring because it was a 1 day event. So it was like I was there from like, I got there too early, but I was there from like 10 to 8 for the competition. Yeah. And then I got back to the hotel. Tired, lost all these matches, sad. And I go into my room, all my shit's gone.
What?
Yeah. So I have to run it back a little bit. When I got the hotel, I only got it for Friday night because I wasn't sure if I was going to stay the whole day at the competition. And like I said, it's only like a 2.5 hour, 3 hour drive back to my parents' house. I was like, I might just do like half, I might just do gi and then go back home. So I hadn't made the decision to stay until I got there. I got there Friday night. I checked in. I was like, hey, I'm not sure if I want to stay, but can I just call in the morning and extend my room? Like, is there anyone in there? They're like, yeah, sure, no problem, absolutely. Call us in the morning and let us know if you want to stay. I was like, okay. So I did that. 10 a.m. I called down the front desk. Hi, I'm me. I'm in this room. I'd like to stay another night. Okay, no problem. We got you. They did not have me. They did not. So yeah, when I got back, all my stuff was gone. They'd taken it all out and put it in the room. And at first I was like, okay, this is really bad. This isn't that good. But my room key still worked. So like I went in my room and it wasn't like the room key didn't work. That was the other weird thing.
Yeah, that's really weird.
Yeah. I was like, okay, well, just give me my stuff back and I'll go back in there because there's nobody in the room. They're like, no, we're fully booked. It was like 8:30 at night at that point. They're like, no, we're fully booked and your room is booked too. I was like, okay, nobody's there. That's weird. It's like, well, what am I supposed to do?
And your key worked.
My key worked. Bad security on hotels. Lock your doors, folks. And you're like, well, you can go over to the next hotel because it's the same franchise. They have one room left. And if you walk over there, they probably will still have it by the time you get over there. I was like, excuse me? I'm not trying to be a Karen here, but I feel like the least you could do is call over and reserve it in the, 10, 15 minutes it takes me to gather my things and walk over there. They're like, no, we can't do that. I was like, what?
Did they,
So,
like, what reason, like,
they didn't give a reason. They were just like, we can't do that. I was like,
yeah, it's that I've heard that before. That sounds like some motherfucker that just wasn't trying to do their job.
mm-hmm.
Dicks.
So at this point, I was so fucking mad and tired and hungry. So, I have normal days. I'm a good, happy person. I have no qualms with the world. But the more things you take away from me, the worse I get as a human. And I was rock bottom. I was monster level at this point. I had very little sleep. I had very little food because I get too stressed during competitions. I can't eat. And I was tired because I'd been fighting all day too. And I'd also lost, which diminished my pride. And so at this point, I was like, I could yell. I could make a scene. I could be like, I just said, you know what? No. And I got all my stuff. And my parents, of course, are in the middle of this too. Even though I'm an adult, they're always got my back. And I was like, I don't care. I'm driving home. At this point, it's probably like 9:30, 10. And they were like, no, don't do it. Don't drive home. You're not in a state to drive home. I was like, yes, I am. I'm driving home. I don't care. You cannot stop me. They're like, oh, Lord, fine. So I get on the road. Why y'all still out on the road in Maryland at 10 o'clock at night driving like crazy people?
I ask this question anytime that where I live in my little townhome community, there's a main road behind my house. Mm-hmm. And right now, 9:45, there are cars just zipping back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And this will continue on until about 3 a.m. Back and forth. It's obnoxious. I don't know why we are the way we are, but Maryland needs to chill.
You really, really do. At least in Atlanta, it does chill down. It does. It calms down. Now, if you go downtown Atlanta, like I take that back a little bit because like you could wind up in a section of Atlanta where they're like blocked off the intersection and doing donuts, but not on the highway. I mean, they weren't doing that on the highway in Maryland, but people were just driving like crazy.
You weren't,
and I was tired. So I start my drive, And then I see the sign, and I'm not proud of this, and I'm working on this. I saw the sign, drawbridge ahead.
Oh boy,
I have a fear of bridges.
I get you. As do I.
It went downhill real south, real fast. I ended up in a Target parking lot, almost in tears, on the phone with my dad. Dad, I can't do it. I cannot drive over this bridge right now. So where did I end up? Because I literally could not get over the bridge that was built for me. I ended up at a Westin with a nice water view, because that was the closest place at that point. And it was a lovely night. I'm sure they thought I looked insane and that I was probably a battered woman, because I'm still in my no-gi gear
Oh wow.
with tape and a sleeve on my knee. My eyes are bloodshot. I look like I have these horrible, dark circles under my eyes that almost look like black eyes. I smell bad because I've been eating. I don't know what these poor people thought. I pull up in the West. It's a nice place. There was literally a man at the check-in counter, and they were just there. They had a wedding going on. It was so nice. And this man was there, a patron too, and he looked at me. He's smiling, having a good time, and his face, he goes from smiling, and he looks at me. He goes aghast expression, is this woman okay? She's not okay. And I wasn't okay, but it's okay not to be okay when you've been through all these events, I feel like.
That is true.
So the Westin was lovely, had a nice breakfast, and then I was able to go over the bridge, which wasn't that scary the next day in the daylight. To be fair, I thought it was a different bridge that I've seen and been over before, the Chesapeake Bay Bridge, or one similar, and that one is 200 feet in the air and 3 miles long. It is petrifying. I thought that was the bridge that was coming up, so that led to the breakdown and stoppage.
Oh yeah, no, that's a monster of a bridge though.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime that I have to go over the Bay Bridge, I'm not okay. And I think last time, when was it was recent, and I didn't have a choice. I think, was it last? Well, no, last year, my wife, the family that she was working with, they were, they, I don't know, they're vacationing, and I think they invited Sarah and my daughter, Sophie, out. So they stayed overnight. So I had to come the next day to pick up Sophie. So I had to go over the bridge. And my wife told me, she was like, just a heads up, we're over the bridge. I was like, okay, that's fine. I get over the bridge. It was a struggle. Now coming back over the bridge with my daughter was more of a struggle, because now I'm freaking out in my head, because I'm like, I don't want anything to happen. Like, if it's just me, that sucks. Yeah. It's just me. This is my daughter. It's like, but fortunately nothing happened. But she's going across the bridge. She's excited. I've got a stone face on. She would have never guessed I was freaking out in my head. She's having a blast. She sees the water. She's excited, and I'm just sitting here in my head like, please don't piss yourself right here, because the car ride the rest of the way was smelling like piss. And you're a grown man. You can't be peeing yourself. So trust me, I understand that bridge. I understand that fear.
Yeah.
We are united.
I am glad other people have this fear. I tell other people that they're like, it's a bridge, just go over. I'm like, no, I cannot. And I told my therapist about it. She's like, we should revisit this later. Because again, I had all this stuff to explain to her. And she's like, we're going to focus on other things first, but we'll revisit the bridge thing later and try to figure out where that stems from. I was like, I don't know. I never had a bad bridge experience, but here we are.
Oh, same here. I've never had a bad bridge experience, but I wonder, for me, I think watching some movies growing up where there are incidents, like there's an incident on the bridge, like Wolfman Prophecies, one of the Final Destination movies. I think number five.
Mm.
Um, there was another movie too, and I think it's kind of stuck in my head. But those were movies later in life. I've actually always had an issue with bridges, but I don't know. That's weird. Now I got to ask my therapist on Friday. Hey doc,
Yeah,
what's going on?
we gotta get to the bottom of it because I don't know either. I do remember seeing like yeah I think like one of those scary movies like earlier on in childhood, but also like I know bridges fail. They're not all that sturdy, and like I've tried to like watch videos and be like this is how a bridge is constructed, or listen to podcasts about it. That made it worse.
Yeah, I was gonna say I got a
Don't
feeling
do
that
that.
probably doesn't help.
I don't advise doing that. It made it worse.
Have you ever been through the like like Harbor Tunnel here in Maryland, like in Baltimore? Like
No, but I've been through the one that goes from like down in Norfolk.
yeah. Well,
Yeah, I don't have any problem with tunnels.
so I don't
Tunnels
know.
totally fine.
So I was okay with tunnels. I saw something recently,
No, you
and
don't need to,
then
you don't need to add to my trauma.
I became not okay with tunnels. And I actually went to a job interview. Like I had to go through the tunnel,
Mm.
and they're like, "Look, we're ready to hire you on the spot." And I was like, "Dude, I gotta go to a fucking tunnel every day? Fuck no! Like this, like you can't pay me enough to take this job. Like, and then there is a way around it, but it'll
It's a
take me an
really
extra
long way.
40. Like, yeah, it's like extra 40 minutes. I was
Hmm.
like, no, no, we're not doing this. It's like, never mind. But tunnels, bridges, nope. As a matter of fact, I'm the kind of person I don't know that. Like, I think the furthest away I've had to drive for work has been 30 minutes. All my jobs have been like around the corner from my house.
Cat.
So, oh,
My cat is trying to steal the treat. Don't do it. As long as she steals them and doesn't knock them down. Sorry, I just saw that in the background of my camera. I'm like, is it somebody coming to get me or is it my cat? We don't know. I live with a baseline of fear. I've I've come to realize I'm a pretty chill person, but the fear is always sitting right there, right below the surface.
I think that's a healthy thing though, because like survival.
Yeah.
You know, people who are fearless is like those are the knuckleheads who are like, let me jump out this plane without the parachute. I have no fear.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like I was thinking about that. I went to did you see the new Top Gun movie?
Not yet, but I am. It's when it becomes available on streaming
Yeah.
immediately. I'm getting it.
It was so good. I hadn't seen the first one in a long time, but it was so good. And I took my mom because her dad, my grandpa, was a fighter pilot, and I was like, I know she's gonna love this movie. It's gonna be great. She liked the first one, and I watched it, and I was like talking to her afterwards. I was like, man, Grandpa was like a crazy person, wasn't he, to do all this stuff? Because that's exactly what he did. He flew the jets, landed on the little boat. It's a big boat, but when you're landing a plane, any boat you're going to land a plane on, I think that's little because you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah,
But he did that. I think he even
there's a
like
lot of land in the world that you could land that plane on, and you chose
he chose
this.
a fake part of land. She's like, yeah, he was crazy, but you're crazy too. It's like, what do you mean? She's like, well, you grew up riding horses. That's a dangerous sport. You had no problem with that, and now you go and fight people for fun. I was like, what? I don't see how that relates. I think it's a perfectly sane thing to do because I can always stop. You know,
Of
that's
course,
my
you would
point.
say that though, because you're on the inside. People on the outside of this hobby, this game that we play, people on the outside are like, you guys are fucking nuts, and it's
I,
like,
I come back to
are
the
we?
point of we can always stop. We can always tap out. There's no point where we can't stop. It's not a real fight. It's not flying a plane in the air. You can't stop in the middle of that.
True, but I feel like if given the opportunity or the path had changed, Julia would be flying a plane and trying to land on a little piece of fake land. But instead, Julia was like, I'm just going to go choke people unconscious with my legs. I'm like, okay, that's weird, but at least you're not flying planes and trying to land them on fake land. So
I
your
think
mom's right.
the powers above chose that path for me. I am very, very blind. I have -5 vision.
Mhm.
So I would have had to undergo surgery to complete that life path.
Sure.
So
And
I
and that
also
was
can't
done by
really do
design.
many push-ups or pull-ups, and I think that's like part of it.
I think that's weird. It's like, here, you're gonna fly this plane, but do some push-ups. I'm like, okay. Um,
No, but that's part
can,
of their fitness. I can't do that.
I'm sure there's someone that knows better than me is probably listening. Like, you're such an ignorant asshole, Dante. You need to be able to do push-ups because of this, and that. It's like, no, probably, but it doesn't make sense to me. So no, I think I think you doing jujitsu and having to do push-ups is more relevant than doing push-ups and flying a plane. No,
Yeah,
just a thought.
it is definitely more relevant. I do push-ups every day now, but not very good ones. But
Fair.
yeah, always a little anxious, always a little crazy. Everybody thinks I'm really calm, but that's the facade.
I think that's a good defense mechanism, though. It keeps you alive.
Yes, it
That's the way I
does.
look at it. Because if you
And I
didn't
think
have that, you'd be doing something crazier and more harmful, like
yes, I agree.
flying planes.
Yeah. See, I think jujitsu is like it's so good for me, and I think other people too, because we have this innate, fight or flight mechanism, right?
Hmm.
And I've been thinking about it lately because I've gotten to know people that run for fun. Um, I say
That's
that with a
crazy.
healthy level of judgment
Oh yeah,
because I'm like, you guys are running how far? Ultra marathons? Oh my gosh,
for fun?
for
No,
fun. But
there's
then
no.
they say the same thing to me. You're fighting people for fun.
Yeah,
So
but
I've
fighting, it like at least this can be used as kind of self defense too. If some shit goes down, you can
right.
like kind of keep your distance, defend yourself. Running, I mean, runners could run away, but
See, that's where I'm getting at, right? I think it's the divide. Everyone that does jujitsu is the fight part of the fight or flight. Everyone that runs is the flight part. And we're all just trying to deal with our baseline anxieties by doing something that's faking out fighting or running, fighting or flighting.
you know,
That's the
I
conclusion
feel,
I've come to. That's my word of knowledge for the day.
I feel like I don't need to go to therapy this week now.
You're
You just
welcome.
did it for me. Thank you.
And I
I,
mean, I'm not going to brag, but like, aren't we the better ones?
I mean, some
Because
might
how much
brag,
do we have to
not
train?
us.
How much do we have to train compared to them? It's a lot.
Well,
I saw a
well,
TikTok the other day of this guy doing like a triathlon or something. This man is like training all day, like 6 hours a day for it. He's like, I broke down my nutrition requirements for every hour on the hour of my triathlon. I show up with a banana, water, and Rice Krispie treat.
yeah. That guy sounds like he's got some other issues going on, though. It's like, dude, relax. Like, it's going to be fine. I mean, we're out there fighting. And as long as you don't have a Big Mac before you get on the mats, you should be fine. Now, if you have a Big Mac before you get on the mat, you could still be fine, but your partner or your opponent will not.
I think you're
And
still winning the fight at that point.
yeah, you are. But then there's judgment that comes with it.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not built for that kind of judgment. So,
Me
I,
either.
I, I, I just fast before I train. I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
Let's just go ahead and chill.
Oh, you know what other mistake I did make? I made one mistake in Vegas. I had fish and chips before one of my matches.
Okay.
It went okay, but it was a little rough. It was a little rough. But
Oh, that, yeah.
the fish and chips were really good. I'll say that.
Well, I mean,
But
that's the
we're
thing.
learning.
It's always good until it's not.
Yeah.
Then when it's not, then it's like, oh no, I made a mistake. So,
Hmm.
but I'm
It
glad it
was
went
hard. It
well.
was just hard to tell. I was like, is this the fish and chips or is this the nerves? I wasn't sure. But I took a Pepto and I was fine. I was like, okay, it was both. We'll move on.
I mean, again, see, that's the thing. It's like runners versus grapplers. I, I'm 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 gonna say confidently, I don't have any like competitive runners listening to this podcast,
Okay.
so I'm gonna say what I need to say. I'm gonna get this off my chest right now. First off, like yes, from the outside, people can look at grapplers and say you guys are lunatics. I
Mm-hmm.
say that about wrestlers. It's all relative. But runners are fucking psychopaths because again, they're running for fun. And that's not fun. There's nothing fun. Like also, like running. The reason I think running is fucking bullshit is like if you're running to a destination, cool. You're just fucking running for funsies. Like you're running in a circle. Like you can say that's a destination. It's not. It's dumb. But
Mm-hmm.
it's like you're just running. Like especially like track athletes. Get the fuck out of here. Shit is dumb. Like you're gonna burst all that energy for a few seconds, dummy.
Mm-hmm.
Like meanwhile, grapplers, we get out there. This is as close as you're gonna get to a situation where it's life or death,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody's trying to attack you at full clip. You got to utilize what you have. Runners, on the other hand, you're just fucking running. Um, well, I wanted to real quick because we talked about this before we started recording, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't think we were gonna be going so.
I know.
Also, didn't think my
My
daughter was gonna.
story times took too much time.
Your story times are perfect times. Um, it's just weird that my daughter, because I thought about it before recording. I was like, there should be no reason that my daughter intervenes in this because I think every episode we've recorded, my daughter has popped in every
Yeah.
single episode, and it's like
Yeah.
there's no way this is gonna happen. And I hear the tap on the door. And I have the door locked because who was I recording? I was recording with somebody one night. I had the headphones on, and I'm paranoid. So after I get done recording, I look up and my door is open. So now I lock the door because I know it was her. She poked her head in and I couldn't hear
Mm-hmm.
with the headphones on.
Mm-hmm.
But this time I was like, okay, let me get up, let me let her in.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, geez, Louise. It's like you know who I'm recording with because I didn't
Yeah.
mention today that I was recording at all. So she knew. She was like, oh, Julia? Okay. I'm going to show up. It's like, okay. Um, but before we were recording, I was like, look, I want to get weird.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we got enough time to get weird, but I'm just going to ask you a couple weird questions, and I want
Okay.
your take on it.
Hold on, let me get
Because
some more pina colada.
actually, where's my phone here? Did I actually mark down any weird questions, or I might just off the top of the head just go weird? Let's see
Go for
here.
it.
So I think what's in my phone, this is conspiracy stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not built for that right now. My brain hurt and I'm tired. But as I mentioned, I'm obsessed with the ideal of time travel
Mm-hmm.
and multiversal. And people act like, oh, well, since the Doctor Strange movie came out, everybody's saying multiverse. Son, I've been saying multiverse since I was fucking 6. Like, I've been about that life. Like, because as a kid, I was like, this can't be it. There's got to be some other shit out there. And then I watched He Man. I was like, holy shit, there is. And then I went back and watched He Man like a couple years ago. I was like, dude, I was so fucking stupid as a kid. Like, that cartoon is so bad. Like, that and Inspector Gadget. I was like, there's no way. Like, I should have called child services on my parents. Just it's like, why are you letting me watch this? This like you're just making me dumber. Meanwhile, like Transformers, GI Joe, but I don't think GI Joe was that bad.
I kind of
Here's a
want
little.
to watch G.I. Joe again now. That shit's great. It's not bad.
So it's
It's
not
just
bad.
ridiculous enough.
It's a little racist, but but
Yes.
it means well. It's not trying to be. I don't think they're trying to be racist. Like Roadblock, the black dude, he talks in rhyme. Uh, the native character, his name is Spirit. It's just like okay,
We just say that doesn't hold up. That's the excuse we use to continue to watch our old
I
favorites.
what's wild about it is they have a new line of action figures for them, all the classics, all the originals. I'm like, wow, that was ballsy of them, but
Mm,
people are buying them. And also in the modern world, GI Joe, if you really look at it, Cobra is actually kind of the good guy. Cobra has benefits,
mhm,
opportunities for advancement, 401k.
mhm.
Like you don't hear the Joes talk about none of that shit.
No.
The Joes are over there struggling and getting poisoned by fucking snakes. And you know, after Duke gets out of the goddamn hospital, you know the medical bill was ridiculous. But they didn't talk about that. Meanwhile, Tomax and Zaymont, they out there running businesses and they got suits on this shit. So look,
Mhm,
man, like G.I. Joe was great. So basically, thinking about all the weird shit with time travel and multiverse, and you mentioned the Large Hadron Collider
mhm.
um, getting turned back on, which I just feel like it's kind of a. I just think that we've got enough going on in the world. Do we really need to now add the potential of something really, really, really going left? Um, how do you feel about these weird things in the Mandela effect
Mm. Oh,
and shit like
don't get me
that?
started on that.
Oh, please.
I'll divert into what's that telescope that they fired up now?
The Large Hadron Collider.
That what they found. I've had a pina colada.
Like the look of your face when you just said it all. You're like, anyway.
Anyway, I saw this thing, and this is when I was like, okay, I'm gonna close the phone now because I just don't have the brain space to think about this anymore. Um, there apparently, like before when they had the Hubble telescope, there was like this little star that they saw kind of just disappear. So I saw it just poof, went away. No reasonable explanation, no black hole, didn't die, nothing like that. And then they saw another one, poof, disappear. But they couldn't really tell. They had like all these other theories about it. They thought maybe it's like hidden behind some clouds or a meteor or something. Um, like I said, it was just when they had the Hubble, so they couldn't see it very well. But now they have this super telescope and they look better and they're like, yeah, it's still gone. And it's definitely not a cloud. It just went boop, like Thanos just went snap, you're gone. So I'm like, oh, that's great, exciting. So we could just things can just vanish. It's not just my socks anymore. So at that
So,
point, I said, I don't, I don't want to think about that. That's not left. That's not for me.
I mean, that's the thing, though. It's like
Like, what is it?
these cats are out there playing with things, and it's like, hey, man, you know, like we're at stake. Like, there was a
Mm.
book I read. I want to say it might have been 2008. They did a TV
When
show.
everyone thought the world was ending, so that's even worse.
So, and this is where it gets really funky for me because, so I wasn't aware of what the Large Hadron Collider was
Mm-hmm.
until I read this book called Flash Forward. And in the book, they fired up the Large Hadron Collider, and everyone on the planet, everyone
Mm-hmm.
passed out for 2 minutes.
Hmm.
Now, in that 2 minutes of people passing out, everyone could see 20 years into the future.
Interesting.
And then they woke back up,
Mm-hmm.
and chaos was all over the place because imagine you got people driving cars, you got people walking across the street,
Mm-hmm.
just all types of bullshit. They didn't dig a whole lot into that because, I'm sure they didn't have a lot of time. But um, I remember reading that book and just thinking because it was like when I saw the Large Hadron Collider, I was like, let me look this up, and it was like, oh, that's a real thing. And then I don't know when all the stuff with the Mandela effect came about, but I just feel like it just kind of all coincided together when like, oh, look at that, let's fire this bad boy up again, and
Yep.
now motherfuckers are talking about, oh well, Jif. used to be called Jiffy. Well, that can be
Mhm.
explained. People got to mix up with Skippy, so I
Mhm.
get that. That's explainable. But that fucking Sinbad movie fucking happened, and I know that. I
How about
remember
the bird
fucking
scene?
yeah,
Bird scene bear.
Berenstein and Berenstein Bears. I
Okay.
yeah, like being a preschool teacher. I've seen the two different books. They exist.
Mhm.
Um, it's just like we got a lot of fucking weird shit going on, and people are out there fucking around. There's a dude who's I'm obsessed with time travel, but not like this one dude who's actually trying to make time travel happen.
Can we leave that? Like I feel like somebody needs to send him a message. Like maybe later.
Yeah, like I just well, so this guy, I guess his father died in Vietnam,
Mhm.
and he became obsessed with the idea of being able to travel back in time to go
Mhm.
spend time with his dad. And I just feel like it might be a little risky and selfish.
Mhm.
It's like I want to go spend time with my dad. Meanwhile, I want to fucking destroy the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Um, not
So,
not not okay. Not
have you
okay.
seen the Umbrella Academy?
I started watching that. I was into it until I decided everybody else liked it, so I wanted to hate it. So
You need to get into it again because it's heavily focused on time travel and alternate universes. So I think you'd really like it. And they just came out with a new season. I binged it all, and they have this crazy theory of it's like the guy who invents time travel invents it because he wants to go back and change how his life was because his dad was like horrible to him, and so he invents it and does it, but in turn he makes himself not exist, but then that like completely messes up all of space and time, and it's just doesn't exist anymore.
so that was my issue with watching Avengers Endgame,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought the movie was fine for the fan service that it did. It did a lot of really cool things. But that time travel part, that hour two, not okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and they try to explain away, like, well, yeah, we'll go and get the stones and we'll put them right back where we left them. It's like that's. I don't think that's how time travel works. I'm not an expert because I've never traveled in time, obviously. But I just feel like if you go back and you take an Infinity Stone, you now just fucking fuck something up. And what they did say was like, well, now you create a different pathway.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, it's like, okay, if you go back and take the stone, you create a different pathway. It should be impossible for you to come back to the
Mm-hmm.
correct place to now make an Infinity Gauntlet. And you just so it's like, and I get it. It's a comic book movie. It's
Yeah.
fictional. I get it, but it's like don't like because now you got this guy who's trying to build a time machine thinking that shit's real and he could
Yeah.
just I'll just go back hang out with my dad and come back and everything's cool. Like no, dickhead, you'll hang out with your dad and you'll come back to the present time that won't exist because you went back and hung out with your dad, y'all
Yeah.
like had a couple fucking Miller Lights together and became good buddies and it just doesn't work that way.
Mm.
Just like sit
There's another series too, and they do it very well. I can't remember what it is, but they're going back. It's like somebody goes back to try to change a historical event, and then it all changes. And I think they do it very well. They keep going back, and like there's one party that's going back to change it to take over the world, and then the other party that's going back to stop them from changing it, but changes happen anyway. And along the way, like some of them don't exist anymore because of the changes that were made, and they have to keep like writing things down in this special thing that won't get changed so that they remember what was supposed to be changed and what did change. I will
I
send it to you what it is
I
and let
feel
you know what
like
it is.
it sounds familiar. Yes, send that to me, please.
It was a TV show. It lasted like 2 or 3 seasons. They canceled it with a cliffhanger. But then the fans were so obsessed that they got a movie out of it to wrap it all up.
I need to know what this is.
I'm gonna think about it.
So
I will send it to you.
there's this Hulu series called 11/22/63.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Stephen King book. Actually, yeah, I do have the book. Duh, dude, I have so many books that I, I haven't read. There's just a collection of books collecting dust.
Me
But
too.
this book called 11/22/63, and it's about the assassination of JFK, and
Mm-hmm.
it's also a time travel book. So in the series, because I definitely watched the series, there is a diner, and in the back of the diner just happens to be kind of a, you know, wormhole, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Hmm.
So the diner, what's happening is like the one guy who works there, who runs the diner, everyone always says, "Oh, you have the best burgers. Your burgers are the freshest burgers. They always taste the best." Because he's going back to 1963, getting good meat, and then coming back and making these great burgers. But
See, that's
he
what you do with time travel. Nothing else.
exactly,
You
you
get
don't,
good burgers.
yeah, you like, why are we fucking around? But what was really going on is he was trying to go back to stop the assassination of JFK.
Hmm.
Since he couldn't do it, he just started grabbing ground beef instead. He was like, "Fuck it." Like, what are we doing here? But basically, in the way that it was done, I really liked it because when like James Franco got involved, he would go back and he would try to make, he would try to change events, but time has a way of course correcting. So if it was meant to happen, it is going to happen. So if he would go back and he would, because he was fucking with Oswald, trying to like get him like to do things different. Nope, life was meant to happen a certain way, so it had to happen that way. There's another time travel movie called Primer. Like I like time travel movies that handle things in small increments
Hmm.
because I think that's the best way to do a time travel movie where you really don't have opportunity to make these big leaps and fuck things up. Like I love Back to the Future, one of my favorite movies, and Back to the Future too. But those movies can't happen the way that they happened if you're doing
Yeah.
time travel, how it maybe should go. But Primer, it's just done in small increments, and there's a movie called Time Lapse as well, also done in small increments.
Hmm.
And Time Lapse is really, really interesting. Primer is a little boring, but it makes sense. So, but those types of time travel movies I enjoy because it's like, okay, there's no real consequence. Whereas these other ones like Endgame, Back to the Future, the Time Machine. Well, the Time Machine was actually pretty cool because it's like, again, if shit was
Hmm.
meant to happen, it happened.
Hmm.
So, but um, I don't know. Like that's been my obsession lately. My brain has just been going in that direction, and now I'm on this whole like alternate reality world because look, the universe is too fucking big for there not to be another fucking planet. And I don't know what happens after we die. So for all I know, after this shit all goes awry and you know, fucking it blows up, we're just gonna restart on another fucking planet somewhere
Hmm.
else and all this shit. God, that
Have
it's
you not
weird.
heard the conspiracy theory that we've already been restarted? Actually, there's two that I think you'll like. So the one is that this planet was here before dinosaurs, everything very very old, obviously, and there was a whole civilization that ended, and now we've just started the cycle again.
I can
That's
get with that.
one. The second is that we are an alien penal colony. Like we are the rejects that got dropped off. We were the terrible people of the aliens.
I can get with that. I mean,
They
we are the
dropped us
Australia.
off here, and here we are. And I think that explains so much.
We're the Australia of the universe.
Yes. Why do
Like,
you think no one else has been around? There's a
yeah,
big X somewhere out there that says that's the jail planet. Don't go over there.
I think that we are at a point now where,
We got weird.
yeah, very weird. Um, like, I think we're at a point now as a civilization where we're so advanced, we don't even know what to do with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever's watching over us, they feel the same way. It's like playing a video game. Have you ever played? So there's this game called Civilization. It was a computer game, and basically it was just that Civilization. You start off with just two people.
Mm-hmm.
You build a hut, and then you move along. You build another hut, and then, over so much time, you get advancements, and eventually, you get to a point where you can build a city. And then, you can build a city, and then 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 you can you start going through certain historical events, achievements, and all this stuff. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
You get into, and I think the game actually ends at 2020. That's as far as you can go before you like blow shit up. Ironic.
Yeah.
Um, but I like with that game, I made it only to 2020 once, but any other time it just you get so advanced and just get
Mhm.
so ahead of yourself that it's like it's too much. It's too much to keep up with. I feel like that's where we're at right now. We just got too much shit going on. We can't even keep up. Whoever's
Yeah.
watching over us are like, we're done. Just
So
let them.
I was listening to your podcast. Kind of touched on this. It was stuff you should know. They were talking about, how would we go about contacting aliens? It's not like a conspiracy podcast. Like they talk about everything in the world, but this was how we would go about contacting aliens. Like what we have, like the gold record and everything. How we would tell the world if we found any kind of alien life. But they also touched on is this theory that all civilizations need to survive the rise up of like all this technology, creation of technology. Like you create it all and then you have to survive it, right? So we're trying to decide now, are we in that period where we've developed so much technology, now we just have to survive the technology we've created, or have we not gotten to that point in technology yet, or did we already pass it? We're trying to figure out where we are on this point. I think they said if we can survive the next 10 years, we're fine.
I just don't. I just don't know, man. Um, so let's go ahead and wrap this one up.
Yes.
Um, as always, thank you for being my guest.
Thank you
Um,
for having me.
it's so like actually when you broke down kind of like the numbers on how often, it's like I was thinking the other day too. It was like I actually need to reach out to Julia, like get her on the podcast. It's been a while,
Mm-hmm.
so maybe there's something to that. Maybe there's like a timer in my head. So thank you as always for being my guest. Shout outs, mentions. You got any?
I can't really think of any currently.
Well, while you're thinking of your potential shout outs and mentions, I'll go ahead and do
Hmm.
mine. As always, thank you everyone for listening to the show. I do appreciate the hell out of everyone, all the downloads, all the attention that you guys give the show. I was looking back at the old Instagram story archives and I saw when this all first started 2 years ago, actually. We're about to do 2 year anniversary episode very soon. But 2 years ago, I'm looking at all the mentions and shout outs that everybody gave me and I teared up a little bit. So thank you, everyone. You guys are fucking awesome. Want to give a big shout out to number one, my guest here, Julia. She's been on here multiple times, and each time has always been a treat. So thank you for that. Big shout out to the shirt that I'm wearing here, BJJ Judo Co. or Company, whichever way you want to go. Amy runs that program there. Go check out the website. I'll put it in the notes. It's bjjjudo dot co. Go check it out. Get some merchandise. They're good people. Also use my offer code BJJ Wiki. Save yourself some money. Um, and also check out my other podcast. So you like horror, because if you like horror, I got you covered. Not really. It's just me talking to my friends about scary movies. But it's no different than this show. So go fucking check that one out too if you're not sick of me yet. But otherwise, thank you. Love you all. Julia, did you think of any shout outs yet?
I will shout out my physical therapist because I talked about him enough. It's in the outside the perimeter in Atlanta. It's ABOV or ABOV. His name is Bove Physical Therapy over in Swanee. And like I said, he does jiu-jitsu. He's purple belt. So he can fix you up and not give any judgment as far as why are you so crazy? But he actually does help really a lot. Went from like not really being able to walk without pain to competing and doing really well in a short amount of time. So I'm very, very pleased with him. Very happy. Go check him out. Above
Awesome.
PT.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you for that. Um, and as always, to everyone listening, again, love you. Thank you. You guys keep listening to the show, and I'm going to keep making them. Thank you, everyone, and ciao.
Deep with it. Now let me sing a song.